Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So it's firmware update time again. This one's going to be the original NB4 Pro, and on this one you just got to make sure you download the right version of firmware for your transmitter, or you'll be messaging me saying the firmware update doesn't see my transmitter, and use right USB cable. But let's bring in for a close-up look and see how we get on with this one. I believe this one is updating it to 109. Think it is. But we'll have a look. Right, let's crack on. So there's a few things we're going to need to do first, and one of them is go onto your transmitter, go onto your system menu, scroll all the way down to the bottom, click your about menu and see which version you've got. So this is the Noble Pro EU version, so I'm going to have to download the EU firmware updater for this. If you've got the EN, which is the American one, you'll have to download the EN firmware. And if you've got the CN one, you'll have to download the CN Chinese firmware. So once we know which version of firmware we've got on this transmitter, English, EU or Chinese, we want to go to flysky-cn.com, click on products, click on Surface, click on your NB4 Pro, scroll down, click on downloads and upgrades, and then on here we've got the link at the bottom for Assistant, so we can download as Flysky Assistant software. If you scroll further down, you've got it for Mac as well. And then also we have the FCC and the standard version of each EU and EN firmware. And for this, the FCC one is slightly higher transmission power. You probably get an extra 30 to 50 meters, but it flattens battery quicker. And the standard firmware is your standard range and slightly longer battery life. That's the only difference between them. Now, as we know, we've got the EU version. I'm going to download the standard 109-2 EU. So we can click download. And then for me, on my desktop, I've got a nice little assistant folder. And then we have an NB4 Pro folder, so I'm going to save my update into there. So if we scroll down, we've got the update notes, so we can click on this. So we've got added set as race mode function. Basically it quickly disables the low signal warning telemetry warnings. Added failsafe warnings, they can be enabled, disabled or configured. Added a telemetry loss feature, so you can set sounds when it's lost, set the sensitivity level. Modified low signal alarm functions, so we've got a few more settings in that. Modified failsafes, so you can give it a judgment time or set it to not set, no output or anything like that. Does warn you on here, the backups from the older version of Assistant will not work with the newer version of Assistant, and you will have to recalibrate your sticks once you've done it. So it's just calibrate wheel and throttle. So once we've got these downloaded, we can open Flysky Assistant, plug in as transmitter. On here you want to go to export, load TX. You'll see the screen quickly flash on the transmitter. Now I'm just going to select all to back all these up, so we can click export. On here I go to my desktop, my assistant folder, scroll down to my Noble Pro folder, and I save my models. Now this can take a while depending on how many models you've got, so if you don't have all the model memory slots populated, then I wouldn't just select all, just select the ones that you actually want to back up, because it is quite a slow process this. Strangely enough, on Assistant version 1 it was really fast, but all versions of Assistant after that, this has got a lot slower. Does seem slower on the Pro than the NB4, and I'm using the same base connection with the Source Sky little lightweight adapter for bottom rather than its battery, and the USB-C connection. So yeah, strange that it takes such a long time. I don't like to skip these because I know some people get a bit worried when it stops at a certain percentage. And the main take on this, do not disconnect your transmitter while you're doing firmware updates, copying models or restoring models. If you don't want to end up having to recover your transmitter, just do what it says on screen. Do not operate or disconnect power or anything while they're going through these processes. Now, I've got the NB4, NB4 Plus, the Noble Pro and the Noble Pro Plus. I've got a G7P, a G11, a PL18 EV, two ST8s, and a PL18 and an EL18. And out of all these transmitters, I do every firmware update. And the only one I ever had a problem with was the original G7P, because mine was on engineering firmware when I first got it. And I did get that recovered really quickly. But yeah, I'm not sure why people struggle so much with these processors. But that's why I like to do these videos and not cut any of these out. So we can see on here, ours is the NB4 Pro EU version, and we're on firmware 107. You can go to firmware update on here. We've already done backup, so we don't need to do that. So you can go to the new firmware on here. We've got the FCC version or the standard version, but it takes an awful long time to update on here. So what I'd suggest doing is close that. So what we now need to do is go onto his transmitter, go to System, scroll all the way down to Firmware Update, click Firmware Update, press Yes. You should see the transmitter restart, and you'll get this: do not operate the transmitter during firmware update. So if the transmitter does not reboot and come onto this do not operate firmware during firmware update message, just press and hold the power button till it turns off, turn it back on, go back into the system menu and then back to firmware update, click yes until you get to this screen. Once you're on this screen, we need to open our assistant folder. Then we need to go down to where we've downloaded the updater. So as Noble Pro folder, we double click on this. You can see the updater is for 109. You can see it's detecting as transmitter on 107, ready for update. So all we need to do is click update, and straight away we're at 5%, 6, 7. It's just so much quicker to do the update from this piece of software. We're already at 41% than it is running it through Assistant. I've seen it take up to 15 minutes to do this, running it through Assistant. We're now on 43%. It does say status programming flash now. 44%. It's just so much quicker to do it through here. I think you're looking maybe less than 2 minutes. I'm sure when it gets to about 80%, it then jumps to finished. But just in case you can't actually see this tiny writing, we're at 47%. It's now verifying flash, jumped to 90%. You see the transmitter's gone off.
Welcome to Noble.
It's now come back on. You get a message saying Model's failsafe is not set. Do you want to set it up? You can just click no. And that is the transmitter updated. We can see on here it's updated to 109. So we can close this, minimize that down. Now the first thing I would do on the transmitter is go into System, scroll all the way down to Calibration, press Yes. Then we're going to quickly calibrate our steering and as throttle.
Calibration successful.
You'll get calibration successful. If we have a look, it's reset all as models, so we need to get them back. So on this one now, we can open up as Assistant. And thank God, Assistant is now so much quicker. I have done a video on this 335 version of Assistant. In case you're wondering how you install it, it has got an offline mode as well. So if we go onto the device, we can go to Import. And if we go back to as Desktop, and then as Assistant folder, down to as Noble Pro folder. So we get to a Noble Pro folder, we select our file that we made earlier, click Open, you can see all as models, click Import. This will import them into the actual software. You can select them one at a time. So we can do them like that. You can click on them and you can reorganize what they're in. If you reset it, it'll put them all back. You can click All and add all, and then you can see what model memory you've got and where it's going to write it to, and if you want to move any of them about, you can. So you can get them all in the order you want or what makes more sense for you. Once you've got these all set, you can just click OK. This will start writing them back to the transmitter. Now at this point you're only writing model data back, so if Assistant crashes out or anything at this point, it's not really any detriment. You can just restart the transmitter, you can restart Assistant and just do the process of importing them back in exactly the same. It won't matter if it crashes. Occasionally you'll get it where it'll get so far through and crash, and then you look on your transmitter and all the models are there anyway. But generally it's a lot more stable since they've updated this last version. Be interesting to hear from Mac users, because I know it's been a big issue on Mac where the Assistant just didn't work at all. Hopefully we're getting through the teething problems of Assistant and it should be a lot more reliable. I have had a few people message me and say that once they've restored the models, the steering hasn't worked or the throttle hasn't worked. It does say on Flysky's site that if you make the backup from an older version of Assistant, they're not compatible with the newer version. So I'm not sure if that's where we're seeing the problem, but this is why I say download the latest version of Assistant first, then make a backup, then close Assistant, download the software updated version for your transmitter. Once you've done that, you can then update it. You've got your backups made with your latest version of Assistant. But that's all as models restored back. We do have steering, we do have throttle. So this is the charge base I'm using. I really do like it. Nice lightweight base from SourceSky. So we've got as transmitter. Let's pop as normal battery back on it. So let's grab a random RC. So what you will have to do, once you've restored your model memories, you'll have to rebind each one to its relevant receiver. So if we pop in the bind plug and we turn this on. So let's find a model that should work with that one. Yeah, we'll go for Senna. I believe that's what it is. So if we then go to RX, bind, it's a classic one.
Binding successful.
So we are bound. as steering works, as throttle works. So yeah,
Signal lost.
if we then unplug it,
Signal lost.
take us bind plug back out, power back up, and we're all fully functioning, apart from my shocker that's unwound its yeah, thought something shot off. It's not been run for a while, this one. I think it's in need of a bit of TLC. But yeah, I can confirm it binds back up.
Signal lost.
It's all fully working. We should have a few other menu options now. So we've got the race mode option. So if you click that, it'll disable the telemetry warnings. I believe we should have some fail-safe settings as well. So yeah, we've got the fail-safe settings that we can configure. If you press and hold that, it'll drop the transmission so you can see if your RC is behaving properly. But yeah, fully updated, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of issue with the model memory handling or anything like that. I've used the same version of Assistant to back them up and restore it. So yeah, looks like fully successful, all updated, and all those models are back. But let's wrap this one up. So there we have it, the NB4 Pro, fully updated to the 109 firmware. Don't seem to have any issues. Just make sure you use the same version of Assistant, the new one, to back up your models. Then use the firmware updater to update it. Make sure Assistant's closed at that point, because I've seen people having issues with running the updater and Assistant at the same time. Then reopen Assistant and load your model memories back on. You just need to remember you will have to bind each RC back to its model memory. That's just because it's a full model, it's a full transmitter firmware update, this one. But yeah, it's seems to work. Not getting any issues with it. Bounce straight back up to the correct RC. Steering, throttle and everything works. If I flick into one of my more complex models, so I think we've got the TRX48 channel on here. And if I go into here, I've still got all my diff lock, unlock, everything still configured. And it still reads out on the screen correctly. So yeah, even one of my more complex models, everything's copied back, steering, throttle, everything works. So yeah, leave a comment below if you're having a problem with it, or join my Facebook group, Wtf Rc Cars. I usually put a QR code you can just scan with your phone and it'll take you straight to it. But yeah, if you need a hand with anything, or if you're stuck. But so far, to the best I can tell, this update goes on, works perfect, and I'm not getting any weirdness, and Assistant seems to work pretty well with it. But thanks again for watching Wtf Rc Cars. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share to friends and family, and catch you guys again in the next one.